Hi folks, welcome to another Irish Whiskey review with me, Barney Macaulay. I know I've been a little bit slack over the last little while, but hopefully we'll try and make this all a bit quicker and a bit more output. I've been quite busy. Today I was doing the Inbound Tour Operators Association annual AGM on Zoom. Now it's everything Zoom, 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 Zoom. You know, you can't get to meet people and you can't really get to speak to them and interact. And then your technology, you're relying on Sunday and people are looking this way and the camera's up here and yeah. So, anyway, I need a drink. And what we're going to have tonight is this baby. Roe Co. 13-year-old. And you can see the wee ring light that I have on. Yeah, Roe Co. This is all port cask. It's Roe Co, which is a Diageo. Nice wee pup. It's a Diageo brand down in Dublin. They bought over the Roe name. Now, what I would say is that's a bit ironic, really, because George Roe and Guinness were big rivals. If you go to St Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, you'll see a statue to Benjamin Guinness, and he paid for the renovations to St Patrick's. A huge amount of money spent there. But if you go to the older and probably much nicer, if I'm honest, Christchurch, the one we drive in through, just if you're not familiar with Dublin, there's two cathedrals in Dublin, both of which are Protestant cathedrals, because the Catholic Church has said that Christchurch is still the official Catholic Church cathedral, even though it hasn't been a Catholic church for 500 years. So that they're clinging on to it. Hopefully that they're going to make a comeback sometime soon. But George Roe and his family paid for the upgrade of Christchurch. And upstairs, whenever you can walk across the road, a bridge across the road, and there's a plaque up there commemorating this. So Guinness family and Diageo, and the Roe family, there was a rivalry there because they both had plenty of money. Lots of money was coming in, and they decided that this was how they would spend their money. So yeah, quite ironic that Diageo, which is obviously formerly Guinness, end up buying the George Roe company. And so now that distillery has only opened really in the last little over a year. So where did this 13-year-old single malt come from? Well, I'll let you in a little secret. It's Bushmills. So it's a 13-year-old single malt. Just have to check the cask strength. 58% all port cask. Now, one thing I will say is, I was talking to a guy the other day, Laurie O'Dwyer from Whiskey Chats, and he was asking me about this, and he said, you know, something that I really love. I love the fact it says 2020, which means this is not the only bottling. There's going to change the bottlings of it every year, hopefully. So the exciting stuff, you know, they've bought this. I would say they spent a fortune buying this, because some of this is what's going to be going into Bushmills' core range. So you have the 21 and the 16. Lots of the port, you know, port is used in Bushmills' own range of stuff. So they must have thought, well, we've enough of this to sell to Diageo, who are obviously one of their main competitors. And the fact that they've done that, Diageo's going to be paying a lot of money for this. But I mean, they don't mind losing, they don't mind losing X number of pounds in order to speculate, to accumulate. That's what they're doing. But now, what do we have here? Now that's a lovely colour. Obviously port it's going to be taking on a lot of colour from the casks, especially if they're good casks. And Bushmills are going to have good casks. They have all these long established trade partners, so that's why you can be fairly sure when you're getting a Bushmills cask that it's going to be good quality, because they have these established links. There's lots of people bringing out cask finishes, and you do wonder sometimes whether the casks are proper casks, have been matured enough with the spirit or the wine beforehand. The smaller ones probably have better access to smaller numbers of better quality casks, whereas the big guys, they're wanting in volume. So there's it might be there's a bit more competition for some of the better quality casks. But with Bushmills, you're pretty much always guaranteed that they're going to be good quality, because the reputation and established business partners with it. The first thing I will say, on the nose, it's coming through quite sugary sweet. It's a little bit too sweet, and that's partly to do with the alcohol. The alcohol, I say 58 or 56? 58. My memory's starting to go. The alcohol at the 58% is really just a bit too much for it. It's dominating too much on the nose. But we'll give it a taste, and then we'll adjust it with the water. It's a lot. It's a good nose, but it's too heavy at 58. Again, too much burn, but you're still getting lots of sugar coming through there. Lots of quite sweet sugar, dark sugar. The finish is really just coming through, and that finish is again cut short by the alcohol, but it's got a lovely candied sweetness to it. It's good. I'm telling you now, that's good. I'm going for another wee sip of it at the cask strength, even though I don't think it's anywhere near its best. But you have to check these things out. Again, at the cask strength, there's actually a tiny little fresh tobacco note coming through there. Now, what I mean by that, it's not the smoke, it's that fresh tobacco that you're getting from the oak. Normally you get it from virgin oak cask. This is not virgin oak cask, okay, we've established that. It's a port cask, but it's coming through the wood's quality. There is a lovely freshness coming through. It's driven by the cask finish, and it's very, very well driven by the cask finish. You couldn't not necessarily say that this was spirit driven, because it's so dominated by the cask. Port is just putting in so much into the spirit that I'm saying that it's sitting out. There is a little biscuity note coming through from it, and that'll be from the Bushmills. That's sort of typical Bushmill biscuit note. Now I'm going to put some water in this because I'm a bit confused. There's too much alcohol, but it's starting to die a little bit down. And I love just whenever you see the oils. Now, that's about a teaspoon. That's about a little teaspoon. And let it sit. That's nice and oily. Really the way a whiskey should be. And already you're starting to lift it. Starting to lift it lots. There's more fruit notes coming through there. Not the sickly jam. Not the overly sweet port sugar. It's now lifting to becoming a much more fruit. There's lovely. There's chocolate notes there. There's nice soft fruit. So you're getting apricot. You're getting there's a slight citrus note coming through there. The alcohol's died away down. I'm actually going to put another little touch of water in this because I think this is enough in it that it could take that, and I'll let it sit for a little bit. I can't help feeling a little bit that Bushmills really has become a little bit like Milli Vanilli. You know that you've got the people up front who do the bottling and the packaging and the branding and selling of it, but the guys out the back are the ones that are actually doing really and take all the credit. If you don't know who Milli Vanilli were, they were a band way back in the 80s who had a string of hits, and then it turned out that the guys up front weren't doing any of the singing. They were just there really because they looked pretty good and they're quite funky guys. But it came out they didn't sing on any of the records, and so the backroom boys really should take a bit more of the credit. So again, that's opened up. There's a nice baked banana note there. That little biscuity note. That's a lovely nose. That's really good. Really good. There's no ifs, ands or buts about that. That's a quality spirit. Yeah. There's a tropical fruit note. There's like a watermelon melony note coming through on it. And there's just that little bit of fire there. There's a little bit of chili pepper just coming through there. Just this has got nice layers coming to it, and it feels as if it's with that little bit of water and a little bit of time. It's been sitting sort of 10 minutes. A little bit of time, it's starting to play. This is a beautiful sipping whiskey. You could sit over this all night. Mm-hmm. Lovely. Cherry. The lovely strawberry jam. There is, again, the sweetness is there, but it's balanced. It's nice, really pleasant. The alcohol being brought down has allowed the sweetness to dissipate and come across, and you're getting much more balance to it now. The finish on it, that is that bitter dark chocolate, tiny touch of aniseed, tiny little bit of aniseed coming through there, and again that lovely quality. There's almost a nice velvety caramel coming through. Lots of people say the word was very smooth. That's not a word I use very often because I don't particularly like the term. I think it's a catch-all for lots of various aspects. But it's got the one thing I would say lets it down a little bit is the mouthfeel. When you bring the water down on it, or bring the water into it and water it down a little bit, the mouthfeel's not as thick and gooey as I would like it sometimes. But this is a quality spirit. It's lovely. Again, more cocoa notes coming through there, more like cocoa powder. That really does makes it. I think this is something a bit special, if I'm honest. Price point, it's about £65 a bottle. Quite expensive, but it's 58%. So at that price, it's essentially you're getting, the best part of a bottle and a half for that. And when you look at it in that regard, if you were paying this at 40%, you'd need half as much volume to take it down. You know what I mean? And if at that case, then you're talking down, it's averaging out at 40%. It's fabulous value for money. Really good value for money. 13-year-old, 58%, all port cask. Lovely. Now, I'm off to enjoy this. So if I have to give it a mark, bearing in mind the price point it's at, I'm going to have to give this, I'm going to be very generous with this tonight. I'm going to give it an 8.5. at the price point it's at, because in terms of competition, there's not going to be a huge amount in and around the same price that tastes this good. That's the truth. So, folks, have a nice evening. I'm off to lie down, relax, and watch some TV. So, listen, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.